Okay, so I work for a website called Madmoizelle.com, and it's for young women. You would love it, I'm sure, because it's the most amazing website.
Yay!
You should learn French just to read
Just
us.
to be able to read it, you should put it in English too.
That's an idea. So you're starring in Whitebird in a Blizzard, which is coming out in France on October 15th. I actually saw it a month ago, and it was the first time I saw you on screen because I didn't see anything before that. And I have to say, you gave an amazing performance. I
Thank
was
you.
absolutely amazed. I wanted to talk to you about the character, Kate Connor, also because we have this zero spoiler policy. So if you would like to do this interview without saying anything about what happens in the story and just talk about the relationship between the characters.
Yeah.
Cool. So my first question really is, how did you meet Greg Araki and what brought you to get involved in this project?
I met Greg 6 years ago, maybe for the first time, 5 or 6 years ago, a while ago, because I had seen his movie Mysterious Skin and thought it was so beautiful and eerie and haunting and lyrical and poetic. And anyways, I was a huge fan of his from that film. So we met one another, and then all these years later, about 2.5 years ago, he called and he was like, I have a script. I'd love for you to read it. And it was this one. And I read it and was blown away by not only the story, but just how much I could be affected by a screenplay.
Because from The Descendant, Alex is also she has a complicated relationship with her mother, but in White Bird, it's to a whole deeper and darker level. How did you identify really with the character?
Identified with Kat. I mean, I feel like every character you play as an actor is just a different extension of yourself, a different version of yourself. And so in that way, I identified with her because part of her is me and I'm part of her. But I loved the fact that, a lot of times when you're a teenager and maybe you feel like you're alone in the world, you create these walls. And then as you age, you have to you shun away from your vulnerability and your sensitivity, and what that ends up doing is separating you from real life more and more and more. And I felt like Kat was doing that, and so I thought that was an interesting theme to explore.
Cool. When we're teenagers, like you said, it's all about exploring, and the parents are usually there to put the boundaries. But for Kat, she doesn't have any boundaries anymore because mother has disappeared and the dad is pretty much absent as well. How do you think that being a teenager is so much harder when you don't have those boundaries? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I mean, I think that being a teenager is hard no matter what, whether you have boundaries or no boundaries, and it's all up to whatever path you sort of choose and whatever road you're unraveling for yourself. But I think that, like I said, part of I think Kat's tribulations and trials in this film are being so mature but almost having a false bravado. And throughout the movie, you get to see that false bravado dip in and out. And you see that her maturity isn't, in fact, necessarily mature. It's just the sense of trying to be something that she's not ready to necessarily be yet.
Yes, exactly. I think that's something a lot of us can identify with. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole mother-daughter relationship is I think it's a taboo that's being lifted more and more nowadays because most movies that I've seen growing up, you could see like really strong mother-daughter relationship, like Desperate Housewives and shows like this. You always have like this really strong mother-daughter relationship, and in truth, in reality, it's not always that easy.
No.
So yeah, it's definitely a new side of how hard it is to keep the bond with your parents. Do you identify with that?
Yeah. my mom and I have an amazing bond, an amazing relationship. That doesn't mean it was always easy, but nothing is ever easy, you know, like you have to have the lows to have the highs and the highs to have the lows, and etc. And that's how you learn and grow. But yeah, I do think last night I did Les Grands Journaux or whatever.
I saw that.
Yeah, with Xavier Dolan, and I haven't seen his movie Mommy yet, but it was interesting just to see the trailer and to talk to him a little bit about it. And relationships with mothers, whether you're a daughter or a son, are they're always so interesting because from birth, I feel like you naturally have a bond with this person, and whether you do as you age or you don't as you age, it really defines a lot of us as human beings.
I felt watching the movie that Kat had a lot of guilt that she never addresses or never got to address because her mother disappeared. Did you feel that way too?
I think yes, she does have carry some guilt from that, but I think that it's as she gets older, she'll notice more and more and more. You know, I think sometimes when you try so hard not to be something, you end up becoming that. And I think in this movie, she tries really hard not to become her mother, and slowly but surely does become her mother.
We've seen you in 3 movies this year. Like this is a 3rd one coming out this year. So you're everywhere. How has your acting career influenced your personal life? Did you expect that much success? Were you prepared for that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the nice thing, I feel so lucky because I started acting when I was 5, so it's been a very, even though I think to the public maybe it seems like it's all happening at once for me, like it's been a very, very, very slow progression, which I'm so grateful for, because had it all happened at once, I would be out of here, because there's so many elements about this industry that I just, now that I'm an adult, I'm able to wrap my head around, but I think as a younger person, I wouldn't have been able to handle it all. Yeah.
Like what, for example?
Well, just the exit, like even this, you know what I mean? Like I'm not in the industry to do interviews. Like I started acting because I love the art of being on a movie set. And part of the job is to sell a movie, which I understand now. But I think as a child, I wouldn't have been able to rationalize that. And it wouldn't have been fun anymore. And I probably would have quit. But I didn't, because it all happened so slowly, and so I just feel very grateful for that process.
So we've seen you in very different roles as well, because, it's been teenage girls mostly, but very different characters. Are you familiar with the Bechdel test? Does that? Okay. Mm-hmm. So basically, Alison Bechdel, she made up this test a few years back, and you take any movie and ask 3 questions. The first is, are there 2 female characters in the movie? Do they talk to each other? Do they talk to each other about anything else than the male characters in the movie? And you'd be surprised how many movies fail that simple test.
Yeah.
Thanks to Alison Bechdel, and that now we can see so many different and deep female characters that young actresses such as you and Jennifer Lawrence are able to play other part than just, the love interest.
Yeah.
Of the main character, which is obviously a guy. Have you felt that with all the scripts you've been able to read?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really lucky. There is definitely an emergence of strong female characters right now, and it's whether they're young or older or whatnot. And I think it's cool to sort of be a part of that shift. But the last few characters I played, I mean, in Divergent, I have many interactions with other women that don't deal with men. And in Fault in Our Stars, my character has many interactions with, like, her mom, where she's not just talking about a boy. And I think that that's exciting. And I also think it's realistic. And I'm glad to see that the film industry is finally shifting towards that.
Yes, like they finally caught up that half the population is female. So
yes.
It makes sense to see some also strong female characters in movies.
Yeah, it's important.
Cool. Do you have any upcoming project that you can tell us about?
I don't, actually. I haven't, for me, I never want to work just to work. Everyone's always like, you got to ride the wave while it's hot. I'm like, no, I don't. I would much rather like cruise and sail into shore than to ride the wave, because waves crash. But for me, it's about doing movies that I feel passionate about, and I just haven't read any scripts that I feel deeply passionate about right now.
So in the meantime, are you studying?
I mean, yeah, I always sort of study herbalism, but I would love to go to culinary school. So yeah,
cool.
We'll see.
Okay. I have a gift for you.
What?
Of course, Told you this is the best website in the world. Can you read French?
No.
Well, I'll
Thank
teach you.
Please teach me.
So, can you read it out loud?
Oh my gosh. See, I know how to speak Spanish, so my accent is always Spanish. I can't do the French accent. Is it j'ai lu?
Yes.
Is that right? Mademoiselle.
Mm-hmm.
Cheva. Sur. How do you say that word?
Sur.
Sur. Ma. How do you say that?
Licorne.
Licorne.
It means I read Madmoizelle riding a unicorn.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Do you like to ride unicorns?
Well, we have lots of unicorn in our office downtown.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Feel free to come by anytime you want.
That's amazing.
Cool.